Brussels in the morning, 7:30 or so, to start the day. Here we are again, going on a tour, the Flanders region. Tour bus?
Vais a tener la oportunidad de hacer el viaje. Lo llaman el supositorio, supositorio.
So Ghent is the historic capital of the Flanders region and one of Belgium's oldest cities. At least 2 historic treaties were signed here. The Pacification of Ghent in 1576 and the Treaty of Ghent in 1814. It's really cool because they have these radios, and so the tour guide can actually just be talking, walking around, and people don't have to be really close to him, and everybody hears what he has to say. It's a great idea for tour operators, and he's explaining the history. We're in the town square. Some very interesting stuff going on around here. The town is in the northwestern Flanders region of Belgium, at the junction of 2 rivers. It sprang up on the banks of the Lys River at a spot under the protection of a nearby castle built by the Counts of Flanders. Ghent grew rapidly in the 12th century, and by the 13th century, it was one of the largest towns in Northern Europe. Ghent was a prominent leader in the struggle of the rebellion against Spanish rule in the Netherlands during the late 16th century. The Pacification of Ghent, that treaty, which united the Netherlands in the resistance against Spain, was signed here in 1576. The Gravenstein Castle is where the Counts lived back in the 12th century. They were the ones who gave protection to the townspeople around them, and that dynamic basically became the origin story of the city. You'll still see a lot of Spanish influence in the city and in buildings infrastructure. That's because the Spanish were there for a while before the Dutch united in the 16th century and kicked them out. More tourist attractions here. There's a lot of history behind these houses. And the river, and a huge church in the background. Google it. The walk between the 2 bridges beside the river was very intellectually stimulating, as the tour guide gave us interesting stories about each of the buildings on our left side. They built Over here you'll see the St. Nicholas Church, which has one of the 3 famous towers of Ghent. So what we have here is this huge monolithic construction. Right architecture, wrong place. It's an amazing piece of art, but it's right in the middle of everything historical. It's a courtyard, huge church here. And apparently UNESCO did not like it. This is the second of the famous towers, the Ghent Belfry. And the last of the 3 famous towers of Ghent, the one in St. Bavo's Cathedral. The Gothic Cathedral of St. Bavo is a 12th century Catholic church and houses many valuable works of art dating back to the 15th century. We did our best to be respectful of the faithful, while at the same time admiring the beauty of the artworks and the impressiveness of the architecture. The thing about visiting old cities with old structures is that it makes you wonder how people from those times were able to build ornate and complicated buildings like this without the help of software or the bureaucracy of government permitting, and these buildings still stand today. We are right in front of the main cathedral here. We went inside, took some shots, video, and some photos. It's amazing. We don't really have the time to explore every single thing. You'd have to be here for maybe a day or so. There's so much history in this area, just from what we hear from the tour guide. But it has played a lot in the history, not just of this area, but also the history of the United States for some reason. Okay, that's it. If you are into European history or you appreciate architecture, Ghent is definitely one of the stops you should make if you're ever in Belgium. We're truly thankful that we made it here and experienced it even for just a few hours. Okay, we've arrived at the city of Bruges. also of great historical significance to the rest of the world. The rain has just started to come down, but we're going to have lunch. That'll be a good break, and then after lunch we will go on our tour. So we were greeted by rain at Bruges. Luckily our tour guide had planned a good schedule, and our next activity, lunch, would be indoors. Now walking around the place, you notice this people's ingenuity. Just like the Dutch, they found ways to control flooding since they've got tons of canals going through their city. What you're seeing here is a beguinage, sort of like a medieval boarding school for girls. It was really hard to do some type of vlogging or picture taking because of the rain. Everybody's holding umbrellas, blocking views, and just trying to take their own pictures. But it was really hard to do that in a crowd. Plus, when they recommended what restaurant to go to, everyone sort of went there to the one restaurant. So we chose another restaurant here that's off the beaten path. We're the only ones here right now. Hopefully it's okay, but we'll see what we get. They seem to have everything that's available anyway, so we chose to get some steak and rice. They have rice, so we'll see how that pans out. Gallery. Now this is St. John's Hospital, a place where a lot of people died because back in the day, you didn't go to the hospital to get well. You went there to die. And this sculpture signified the tears that were shed as people lost loved ones to war, disease, and other causes. The tree is actually crying into a tear-shaped pond. Now this is the Groothuis Museum, named after the medieval Groothuis family, whose wealth came from control of ingredients for the local beer. You know they were rich as they actually connected their home to the Church of the Notre Dame of Bruges. Now you're looking at the original city hall from the 1300s, located at De Burgh Square, the town's community plaza, just near the market square. So this building used to be the port where goods were dropped off by ships going through the canals. The canal is still there, under that building. And this is the market square, where all the goods were sold and made their way into the local economy. Today, this town market square is surrounded by establishments whose buildings show influences from everything from Gothic to Renaissance, Art Nouveau, all the way to contemporary. So we made our way back to the public square and entered the Basilica of the Holy Blood. This religious complex was so beautiful. Sculptures, stained glass, intricate art all over the walls. And just check out those ceilings. We weren't allowed to take videos of one section of the room where priests would stand guard in shifts over an ancient holy relic, what is said to be the actual blood of Christ on a piece of cloth used at his crucifixion. This is the famous belfry in Bruges. We just stopped by here for a restroom, but it's a very whirlwind tour because you have to keep following the tour guide, and he's talking into these earphones, so you're hearing what he's saying about all the historical sites. There's hardly any time to just stop and take pictures, so hopefully all of these pictures we've taken and videos will be enough to document this whole experience. It's an amazing city though. It's full of history, lots to learn about, lots to learn from. So after that break, we walked to the boat ride station, where we would take the canal cruise tour around the town on these electric boats. It was a great way to see the town from a different angle, listening to a recording that highlighted sights along the way, in both English and in Spanish.
Antiquities and decorative arts. The lords of Groothuis held the sole rights to the sale of fruit, a mixture of 7 herbs used in brewing, which was later replaced by hops in the 17th century. We now have a good view of the belfry. This magnificent tower stands 83 meters above the Grote Markt, 366 steps. Bruges. In its day, it witnessed a flourishing trade. Bruges imported food, luxury goods.
that's it for this video. I hope you all learned something, or at least we were entertained. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next vlog.